Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In reviewing our agenda for this evening, we have the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the June 23rd meeting. We also have a final plat for the Shores at Chapman Farms, Track CC, the replat of Track C, Lot 9. But before we do that, I do have a presentation that I would like to make. And Bob McDonald, would you please stand? Bob, this plaque is just a small token of the appreciation for both the planning staff as well as the Planning Commission in recognition of your leadership, dedication, and commitment as City Attorney for both the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment. Over 28 years of service you've provided to both these fine commissions, and we just want to say in this small way, thank you so much for being our attorney, for the legal advice that you've given us all these years, and we wish you the best in retirement. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
And the microphone's yours if you like.
I'm pretty emotional, so I won't be able to say very much without tearing up. I've enjoyed all the years that I've been here. Mark, you were here probably about when I started, and had a little time off and came back. I've enjoyed working with all of you. This is probably of the commission, the people that I work with. This is the most rewarding in some ways, and not as stressful as some of the other places I have to sit. So thank you all for the way you've treated me over the years, and thanks for this plaque. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
That's it.
With that, on the consent agenda is the minutes from the June 23rd, 2014 meeting. Are there any comments or revisions to those minutes? If not, is there a motion? Mr. Abbott.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve. Consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Haney. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes pass. Next item on the agenda is the final plat, PF 06-14-4472, the Shores at Chapman Farms, Track CC, the replat of Track C, Lot 9. Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. As was stated, this request is a request for approval of a final plat for Track CC at the Shores of Chapman Farms. This particular development is located between Mason School Road and Cowherd Road, east of 7 Highway, as you can see on the attached map. And the site is noted in the shaded area and with the call-out. This particular tract consists of approximately 1.41 acres, and it is zoned SF7, and there is of course, overlying PUD, as most of you are aware. So let's go to this. By way of a little bit of background, in November of 2004, the City Council approved the underlying PUD concept plan for all of Chapman Farms, and with that concept plan, then each particular development within Chapman Farms was required to come forward with a final plat. as well as some PUD final plat, site plan design review. But what we're interested in most here is that each of them had to come forward with a final plat. The Shores at Chapman Farms, final plat was approved in June of 2007. The preliminary plat for the Shores was filed on July 11th, 2006. And important to note that this particular request really is requesting a recommendation of a final plat for the Shores, and the purpose of this final plat is to remove a portion of trail that was originally approved with the Chapman Farms master plan. And again, that track CC is that portion and includes that trail. They don't want to eliminate the open space. It will simply turn from a active open space to a passive open space. I think the staff report's pretty self-explanatory, and again, if there are questions regarding the trail and trail system, I do have a plan here that shows the entire trail system, but let's see if we can. And what you can see from this map of the trail system, and again, I did not put the trail system that is on the east, or I'm sorry, on the west side of Highway 7, only the east side. But you can see that within the shores of Chapman Farms, there is a trail around the lake. There's a trail that comes up from Greenbrier that is south of the shores. And they all pretty much connect to that northern trail, which is sort of a main leg trail. This particular portion of the trail, which is highlighted in sort of the orangish, pinkish color, this particular section is really somewhat redundant, and that is one of the reasons that the developer and current developer is looking to vacate it. It's just from their standpoint, as they've done various other improvements to the shores, to the lake, combining the homeowners associations. They've looked at this portion of the trail, and economically and for its usefulness, they've just made this request to have that trail removed from the final plat so that it does not have to be constructed. In place of that, or in lieu of that, they are doing some other improvements, and I will let them discuss exactly where and what those improvements are. But I know, for instance, they are putting a tot lot in at a location. So with that, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to stand for those questions, and otherwise the developer and the engineer both are here to answer questions.
Are there any questions for staff? So, Mr. Hawley, just so I'm correct on looking at the map and where the orange line is, there's a yellow line right below it. So that's an existing or proposed trail that would extend over into the parcels to the east as they're developed?
Yes, let's see. It's hard for me to see what's up at the screen, but the trail system comes from, this is Greenbrier down here, and it comes up, eventually will come up through here, and up, and it connects in here with the trail that goes around the lake, and then ultimately connects into this northernmost trail.
Okay.
So hopefully that.
Well, right below that is the yellow line, right below the orange line.
Yeah,
Right
here.
up farther? Right there.
Right here.
So that is a trail that would extend to the parcels to the east.
Yeah, there's a portion of trail right in here that they're not requesting. I don't think, and I'll let the developer clear that up, but I don't think this portion in here is being requested. I think it's all in this track that goes.
Yeah, my only point is that there's, plans for the trail to extend to those parcels that are undeveloped to the east.
Here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll let the developer address that, but I think that there is.
thank you. Okay, could the developer or representative come forward, please?
It's a little hard to see the screen at the same time. He was the only one I was looking at. Just that one, I don't think we're existing on that plat, though. Right.
So
Okay.
it is not vacated at this
Right.
point, so
Okay.
it's just one street.
And if you could introduce yourself?
Sorry about that. It's Matt Slish with Engineering Solutions, 50 Southeast 30th Street in Lee Summit, on behalf of the developer. So this request is a little different, I think, than maybe some of them. We're not trying to get out of the way of trying to do work. The developer is actually doing additional work on trails that we feel are more pertinent to the use of the overall area. For example, the trail around the lake is currently, it's basically done. I think it is done now at this point.
It's done.
But what we've done on that trail is taken that trail from an asphalt trail and made it a concrete trail through most of it. Taken that trail and added on, fitness equipment to it. Added a playground area to it. And really trying to develop that use of kind of that community centrally located attraction in providing something that'll be functional. This trail that we're trying to vacate is basically the houses as they sit on the lakeside side is the houses across the street, directly across the street, and the backyard of them in a very heavily vegetated area. So one would be, a nice sales point for those houses that sit across the street from the lake, and that it's a nice timbered area opening up to what is currently, unplanned area as part of this development. But additionally, it kind of detracts from the use of the trail around the lake where we're really trying to draw the attention. So our belief is that, through the internal sidewalks and the routing of street-provided pedestrian ways, we can still make it to the trail and make this circulation work as designed, but basically eliminating the redundancy of this one trail to the, basically to the back of these lots. Now, as far as the properties to the east, there's still, again, that kind of pedestrian way or pedestrian access that I feel on the internal streetways that can get us back to this access. Whereas even if we had left it in that location or had not attempted to do this and left it in there, it's a very heavily vegetated area. It would be very difficult to try to get a really good quality trail that you could actually get good use with. So the idea is, like I say, the development has spent a lot more money on that area right around that lake, really to try to dress that up as a main attraction. In conjunction with that has been developing and pulling these developments around there, these old subdivisions, into the same HOA, so they all become kind of a community feel, whereas currently they're all kind of broken up into different independent pieces.
Thank you.
In addition to the concrete trail, we put a Gabion rock layer along the base of it to prevent erosion, which is beautiful, and that was about $32,000. In addition to the concrete trail, in addition to a $35,000 play set, and we're putting also 3 more exercise stations as we speak. We're bidding those right now, so we're spending well in excess of what we're trying to take.
I'll get you for you. So basically, yeah, so the other thing he was talking about is just the idea that basically around the lake itself, he's gone through and made kind of a rock base around the entire lake area to try to maintain and control that erosion. The play sets and all the other features that are in there are getting added to. In addition, that lake never had an emergency spillway or anything out with it. They've installed and designed an emergency spillway that'll help just kind of prevent and create kind of an overall better quality, better facility there.
It's not that we didn't want to hear what you were saying. We just want to make sure you got over to the microphone to say it.
Dave gets going, so I'm just kind of an interpreter for you.
Are there any questions for the developer or his representative?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Ms. Duhon.
Will of this trail have any effect whatsoever on security of houses built through there?
I don't believe it does. They've just started building some houses that kind of back up to the. Are you talking about the houses on the east side?
Either side.
Yeah, I mean, our belief is on the lake side, they're very beautiful walkout lots that have a nice ability to have a nice tracked area, give a good wide expanse, let that trail kind of work on the lake side. On this eastern side, where they've just kind of started putting some few houses in that area, like I say, those trees extend halfway up into the lot. So one, you lose, a nice tree buffer barrier in the back of those houses. It's a nice sales point. But additionally, like you said, from a security standpoint, it's tough to say it would be worse, but it is something that you'd have to think about in the sense of there would be a lot more opportunity to have, a tougher area to maintain for the subdivision and the HOA to kind of go in there and control what's going on back there behind these houses, because you have a much more limited area as you do on the west side of the lake side. So our belief is, it aids in the overall amenity package by kind of getting rid of that and allowing those houses to have kind of a better, just kind of backyard, more, buffer space between whatever is going to be developed to the east in that future phase there.
Ms. Banks?
Mr. Chair, you'd asked a question regarding the buffer to the other division. Did we get an answer as to what you're going to do about the sidewalk over to the other?
Yeah, so right now, Greenbrier is the one that's kind of built down there on the south side. So maybe here, and that's the development that's in there. Everything to the east, still vacant. And it's the idea at that point, from our mindset of how this is going to work, is basically pedestrian ways, sidewalks on the street would direct people from those subdivisions towards the lake and towards that facility. So there would be access still going to the east, but it's going to be more in the pedestrian ways of a sidewalk on the streets or things like that would still get them there, as opposed to trying to put, something back here that would be at the rear of two lots, because I think, I don't know if I can show this easy enough. This is kind of an more overall view. So that gives you a little better perspective of kind of future ideas. So this is that trail we're kind of talking about getting rid of, where this is, not part of the piece now. This is Greenbrier that exists with a large kind of green space in between it, and then this is a piece that has yet to be, kind of continued on. I think it's currently county owned or bank owned, or it's under distress.
To the land bank.
Yeah, so there's a large roadway that basically goes right through the central part of that part of the residential subdivision, and with the requirement the city has with development of the roadways, it would have a sidewalk, and that sidewalk would lead itself, directly into where our play area, where our fitness facility, where all that starts, to kind of give this, kind of getting them there, as opposed to, expecting someone to come here and then go to these rear house, property lines, which I think is just something. There's not enough, there's not enough area in there, I think, to make it a good amenity. I think it'd be something that would get rarely used.
Thank you. That helped.
Any other questions? Thank you. With that, we're up here for any further discussion or a motion. Mr. Billups.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of final plat PF 6144472 with 2 staff recommendations.
Second.
Second by Ms. Banks. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. With that, we're at other business. Does anyone have any announcements that they would like to make?
I would like to make an announcement. I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Bartolotta on his 3 grandbabies.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they were born July 8th, am I right? And they are healthy and beautiful.
Congratulations, Grandpa. With that, the only announcement that I have is that the July 28th meeting, we do not have any agenda items for that meeting. So if no one has an objection, I'd like to go ahead and cancel that meeting for Monday, July 28th. All right, with that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, August 11th, the meeting next week.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Then the next meeting would be Monday, August 11th.
Okay.
So with that, is there a motion to adjourn? First, second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, and have a great evening.